Hello everyone. Today we're going to make this clay skull. This is a clay sugar skull for El Dia de los Muertos. So in your bag you should have a slab of air dry clay. I'm going to tear a small piece off because I might want to add some details. So you can see I tore about that much off. The rest I'm going to actually, since it's in a nice slab already, so you can see from this, all I did was curve it. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my thumbs. It's kind of like a pinch pot. So I'm going to just start pressing, gently bending the clay. Okay, now you may notice, look, yikes, there's a lot of cracks. That's okay. Just go ahead and smooth it with your fingers. You may need to be pressing and smoothing all the while holding it. So I am going to, this might be slightly flatter than this one. This one is a little bit deeper. That's okay. All right, so I just want to make a basic skull shape. The important thing when we are forming our clay or pressing our clay into a form like this is sort of like a pinch pot, is you want to make sure that the walls, which are this part, the thickness is relatively similar all the way across. You don't want to have one part that is really thin and the other part that is really too thick. So this is really important to make sure that we have our clay formed the way we want. Okay, I'm going to actually press this down into the placemat, my board. You guys have a plastic placemat that I packed for you. Okay. So this is about the shape that I want to work with. The chin is still a little bit crooked here, so what I'm going to actually do is take my clay knife, I'm going to actually cut a small triangle out, and then I'm going to put the chin back together. So whenever we reattach things, we always want to score first. So using a fork or the plastic knife that I gave you, like this. And then slip is when you add some water. Okay, so I have my clay pencil, which you guys might just use a regular pencil, it's totally fine. A plastic knife and I'm reusing a Noosa, a yogurt cup filled with clean water. Okay, so this is just like real clay. You just attach it the same way. So let me spin it a little bit so that you can see. So this just presses together, and every time you press something, you reform something together, you want to blend it. So that means you're using your thumb or your finger to press in. Okay, so that gave it a nice rounded shape right there. I actually might want to cut out the sides here because I want, do you see on this skull, this comes in a little bit. So you can form that by pressing inward. And then we may need to cut a little piece out. It just depends on how you want your skull to look. So you see I have pressed in one side. I'm going to maybe trim a little bit off here. Okay. I'm going to squeeze this top part. I want the top part to be rounded and the bottom part to be condensed in a little bit. So I'm going to cut a little bit off right here. Okay, and set that off to the side. Let's see, I'm actually going to maybe round this back part a little bit. So I'm just gently squeezing with my fingers and making sure that everything looks pretty even. So you can see all the way around, this looks pretty even. If you see a lot of cracks, all you do really is just dip one finger in the water and then you just rub the water in until it is not shiny anymore, okay? That's really important. You want to make sure, do you see how it's a little bit shiny? You want to make sure that the water is fully rubbed in, otherwise it will get too wet. Okay. This is the back part. I don't necessarily have to smooth this out, but because I like to make everything nice and even, I just want to go ahead and make this a little bit neater and cleaner back here before I start on the front. Okay. Here we go. All right, so this is fairly smooth, so I'm going to scoop my water off to the side. I'm going to flip this over. Now I'm going to focus on this top part. So I want to start smoothing out this top part. So I'm going to dip my finger in the water and I'm going to gently rub the water through my clay. So sometimes I go in a circle just to smooth out the surface. You always want to support the other side of the clay with your other hand so that you're not accidentally making holes where you don't want holes. Okay, so I have about half of it done. I need to support the underside here. Okay. Okay, so here we go. Okay, I have this top surface to where I want it to be. I'm going to go in and make some more designs on top, so it doesn't have to be totally smooth, but it is fairly smoothed out. You can also use a tool like this to blend, like your plastic knife to blend parts too. Kind of gives it a nice texture. Okay. So here is our blank skull. So using your pencil tool, you can just start sketching your design. So I am going to lightly press with my pencil into the clay, and remember I'm looking about just a little bit higher than halfway down. So if I'm looking at my skull, I don't want to draw my eyes up here. This is the forehead. You want to be a little bit lower. And I'm actually wondering if the first eye is a little bit too high. So I'm going to go ahead and erase. So to erase, all you need to do is add a little bit of water, rub it into the clay until it is gone. I'm going to use my knife again to kind of bring that same texture back. Okay. I need to press a little bit harder there. Okay. So I'm going to redraw this eye like that. Okay, so you can always erase just adding a little bit of water. So you notice as you are drawing in, do you see there's a little bit of clay that gets on the pencil? That's fine, just wipe it off and then brush off any like little pieces that are kind of sticking out just to clean up your space. Okay, I'm going to make my nose the upside down heart, and I'm going to draw the teeth. So starting off with our line like that, and then one line down the middle, and then 1, 2, 3 on one side, 1, 2, 3 on the other side, and then just connect these lines at the top to make the top of a tooth, and at the bottom to make the bottom tooth. So you can just draw these in, and I am just brushing away some of